right, so you have made it to the third and final video of this series. So in the first video, we talked about what EFT is. In the second video, we talked about how EFT works and where the points are on your body. So if you haven't watched those, go pause this and go back and watch those. And now we're going to do an exercise, an EFT tapping exercise. So one of the really important things with EFT is to gauge where you're at when you start, right? So what I'm going to have everybody do right now is just get tall in your seat and take a moment to take a deep breath in, right? Let's do this together. And let it go. And on the next time that we take a deep breath, I want you to take a moment, really focus on how it feels to take that deep breath in and focus on the constriction in your breath. So on a scale of 0 to 10, how constricted is your breath? So if there's no constriction in your breath and you feel like it's super easy to get that full breath in, then that would be a 0 and you probably wouldn't need to tap. And if you are having a really hard time getting that full breath in and your breath feels super constricted, then you would give yourself a 10. And the reason why we gauge like this, and this is something that you would do before any tapping session, whether you're tapping on a physical sensation like we're about to do with the constricted breathing, or you're tapping on an emotion like sadness or anger, you want to have a starting point of where you're at. And so sometimes people are challenged by coming up with a number and defining it in that way. And if that is something that you're struggling with, know that you're not alone. It's okay. You can think of it as it's really hard to take a deep breath. It's kind of hard to take a deep breath. It's not that hard, right? You can categorize it as like big, medium, small. That's another way of doing it. We just want to have a starting point. So once again, take a deep breath in and let it go. And just notice, is there a heaviness in your chest? Do you feel a tightness at all? Does the breath feel choppy when you're breathing in or when you're breathing out? Just notice that how you're physically feeling, right? And give yourself that number. And so for me, when I take that deep breath in, I kind of feel a little bit of a heaviness in my chest. And so I would say that I feel like a 6. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to start tapping on the side of the hand where I mentioned in the previous video about where we start with a setup statement here. That's what we're going to do right here. And the setup statement works like this. We acknowledge the feeling that we're having, and then we say something positive. So with EFT, what I love about it is that we're really acknowledging how we are feeling in the moment. You know, sometimes people will be like, oh, well, if you're sad, we'll just say a positive affirmation, right? Well, I don't feel like that's really very helpful, because if you're in a really sad place, it's hard to flip the switch and suddenly be really happy. But EFT is this tool that it meets you exactly where you're at. So we're acknowledging how we feel. Right? So in this instance, we're going to focus on this constriction in our breath. So you guys can just repeat after me and tap along again, focusing on your breath and how it feels. Even though I have this constriction in my breath, I love and accept myself. Even though my breath feels constricted right now, and it's hard to get that full breath in, I'm acknowledging how I feel. Even though my breathing feels constricted, this is just where I'm at right now. Coming to the top of the head, my breathing feels constricted. Eyebrow, this constriction in my breath. Side of the eye, my breath feels constricted. Under the eye, I feel this heaviness in my chest. Under the nose, this tightness in my chest. My breathing feels constricted. And just take a moment to focus on how you're feeling. Taking those breaths in and out. Moving under the arm. This constriction in my breath. And then the top of the hand. My breathing feels constricted. And then we're going to pause right here and take another deep breath in and notice if anything shifted for you. So that was just one round of tapping. And so if you don't notice a difference right away, that's okay. And if you notice that the intensity maybe got higher, that's okay too. Sometimes when there are things that we have been avoiding and not acknowledging them, and then we take the time to focus in on them, they can feel more intense. And that is normal. That happens. That does not mean that tapping doesn't work for you. It in fact means quite the opposite, that tapping does work. You just need to keep tapping to get that number down. So, see where you're at, see if there's any sort of difference that you notice. And then also, as we move through another round, notice where your mind goes. Notice if anything else pops up for you, if any other thought, any other memory. Because as you continue to move through this process, it's very common for other little thoughts to pop up, like whether it's, something stressful that happened yesterday or something that happened a long time ago. And while your conscious mind may want to say, oh no, that thing from a long time ago isn't related, there's no direct link to how I'm feeling in my chest right now, know that these thoughts are coming up for a reason. Your subconscious mind is telling you this for a reason. And so I would just encourage you, if that's happening, to then tap on that memory or that thought that's coming up. So just be aware of where your mind goes. Okay, coming back to the side, and I hope everybody's taken that deep breath in and checked in and has a number, whether it's the same number, a higher number, a lower number, so we can continue to have a place to come back to and compare it to. So even though my breath still feels constricted, it's going to be okay. Even though I still have some constriction in my breath, I love and accept myself. Even though I still have this constriction in my breathing, and it's hard to get that full breath in, I love and accept myself. Top of the head. This constriction in my breathing. Heaviness in my chest. This heaviness makes me fill in the blank. Does it make you feel sad, frustrated, angry, whatever comes to mind? I feel these emotions in my body. And I think it might be linked to this constriction in my breath. And this heaviness in my chest. This tightness that I feel. This constriction. It might be related to this fill in the blank: sadness, anger, frustration. And then once again, pause here and let it go. And just doing that round, I felt a pretty significant difference in that round. I would say I'm probably down to a 2 or a 3 right now. So I hope you guys are moving down too. And I know that we've only done a few rounds, so we're going to do one more. And know that you can just continue this process, continue to tap on the feelings that you have, and maybe and something else that sometimes happens with when you're doing EFT is that, like, okay, the constriction in my chest is gone, but now I'm really feeling a sensation in my shoulder blade, right? They call that chasing the pain. So if there's another area that seems to pop up, you can tap on that sensation or feeling. Or same thing with an emotion if that's coming up for you. So even though I still feel a little bit of constriction, I love and accept myself. Even though there's still a little tightness in my breath or in my chest, it's all going to be okay. Even though the tightness is still there, it's moving in the right direction. This sensation in my chest, this tightness that I'm feeling, this constriction, it's intertwined with these emotions. This emotion of fill in the blank, sadness, anger, frustration. I'm feeling it in my chest. It feels good to acknowledge how I'm feeling. Saying it out loud. Connecting this constriction in my breath with these emotions I'm feeling in my body. And then take another deep breath in and out. And hopefully you're feeling a little bit lighter, a little bit calmer than you did before we started this. And I'm sending everyone so much love. And if you have questions about EFT, please reach out. I am here to help and support in any way that I can. Take care.